If you're a product manager and you're still spending hours writing user stories and acceptance criteria, then this video is for you, because in this video, I want to share how you can use ChatGPT to build effective and high quality user stories and acceptance criteria in less time without making any effort. Let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Raheel. I'm an entrepreneur and a product leader currently living and working in Dubai. As product managers, it is part of our craft to write effective user stories and acceptance criteria, which is basically derived from our understanding of the features that we want to build and then translating them into a language that developers can understand when they're developing the product. I've written tons of these things in my career, and I've spent hours just like other product managers. But since I've started using ChatGPT, if I was spending 4 hours previously, now I'm only spending 30 minutes. And the quality of these user stories have really gone up. But at the same time, I have more time now to focus on the strategic part of product development and launch of the feature in itself. And I had to experiment a lot with ChatGPT, so I'm going to share a method with you that I use, which I've derived after a lot of experimentation so that you don't have to do it. And I'll share my screen later on and we'll go through an example. But before that, let's get a breakdown of the strategy that I use. So here's a 3-step process that I like to follow. Number 1, I like to set up a persona. So the first thing that I need to do is start role-playing with ChatGPT, which includes asking it to take up a persona. It could be a wizard, or it could be an archer. But in our case, I would like it to be a product expert. Once I tell ChatGPT to take up that persona, I'll get much better results. Number 2, I provide a lot of context. So all the information that I have with me that I'll use to create user stories or acceptance criteria, I provide that all to ChatGPT. Think about this. If ChatGPT has the same amount of information that you do, automatically the results will be much, much better. And finally, I love to split problems into smaller parts. I've experimented with ChatGPT a lot, and I've realized that if you give ChatGPT a big problem to solve, it doesn't perform that well. But as soon as you provide it with smaller problems and then work your way up, the results are remarkable. Alright guys, so we're in my ChatGPT workspace, and the feature that we're going to build is a cancellation fee. It could be for a fuel delivery company or a food delivery company. It basically follows a similar path. But we're introducing cancellation fee, and we would like user stories for that specific feature. The first thing that I want to do with my ChatGPT is to give it a persona. So okay, the expertise in understanding feature requests and writing clear and effective user stories and acceptance criteria. So keep wearing your product hat, never take it off. Do you understand? Simply reply with a yes if you comply. Now, I'm not just giving it the prompt at the moment. I'm just asking it to take on a persona and just reply with a yes if it understands. So we're expecting a yes. Wonderful. Now for the next step, all we need to do is we need to provide it with the context. So what I'm going to do next is now I basically have it written here with me. And it is all the information that I have. For example, I have what the goal is. We have to reduce cancellations. What is the benchmark? I've taken it from multiple different other companies. What are actionable insights that we have? And automatically. Now, I'm not just going to give it enter anything right now. All I want ChatGPT is to read this context. Oops. Now just read the context and completely understand it. Once you're done, respond with a done. Okay. So now, great. Now it really understands the entire context. So we asked it to take a persona. The next step, we provide all the context that we currently have and just simply ask ChatGPT to comply. Let us know if it understands or not. And now, great. Now, take all the time that you need. So this is also a small little tactic. If you're asking ChatGPT to work on a complicated problem, tell it that take all the time that you need to think about this, okay? Take all the time that you need to think and then generate the required user stories for the feature that we are building. Remember, with user stories often comes acceptance criteria, but I don't want it to focus on acceptance criteria right now. Focus on the quality and effectiveness of the user stories. Remember, do not give me acceptance criteria, and that's it. Now it will generate us all the user stories. There we go, right? This is perfect, like clear communication of cancellation policy. As a user, I want to receive this so that I can do this. And then it's going to take some time and it's going to come up with all the user stories that we need. And if you read these user stories, honestly speaking, these user stories are actually quite good. They're not that bad. They require me to go through it once again and just make sure that it covers all the cases. But I would have written this and it would have taken me about an hour or so to write all of these and document all of these down. So this is wonderful, right? So good. Now, once ChatGPT is done with it, here's a small little trick. So great. Thank you. Could you try again and further improve the quality? If not, just reply with, this is the best I could do. Now we are trying to reiterate. Okay, wonderful. Now we are trying to reiterate that, man, could you further improve the quality a bit? If not, then just let me know. That's okay, I'll back off. Now, wonderful. Now I can actually tell ChatGPT to just give me all the acceptance criteria for all the user stories, but I'm not going to do that. Remember, we have to break down problems into smaller parts. Remember? So what I'm going to do now is I am going to pick up each and every story. I'm going to pick this one up. Now, take the following user story and generate exhaustive and high quality, easy to understand acceptance criteria. And I'm just going to paste and ta-da, acceptance criteria. And for that specific, only one specific user story, now it generates all the acceptance criteria that I'm looking for. See, it's actually so nice. It would have taken me a lot of time to get it done, but now I can simply use GPT for my advantage and automatically get work done. So productive. And now I'm going to do this again with the second user story and the third user story and the fourth user story. All I have to do is small steps, small problems at a time. And automatically now you can see that the quality of our results has significantly improved. If it were just the case that I would have like provided, let's do one thing. I'll show you something very interesting. If I just ask it to a new one, if I just give this context, just read this context and understand it, then give me high quality user stories and acceptance criteria. If I just give this prompt, which I've seen a lot of product managers do, it's okay, but it's not detailed. It's not that good. See, the acceptance criteria is just 3 acceptance criteria. Are you kidding me? Like, do you understand how detailed this feature is? Which is why I think breaking down the problem automatically gives us so much better results, right? Handling edge cases, refund policy, and it's only giving us like 2 or 3 acceptance criteria. So I'm going to stop it right there, and only 5 user stories. But if I go back into this one, is it this one? Yeah, this one. Now check this out. The user stories, there are 10 user stories, there are 9 user stories, and the user stories are so detailed. And then each user story has detailed acceptance criteria, which actually shows us that if we use this strategy, automatically our results improve. So let's quickly recap. Number 1, give it a role. Assign it a role all the time, right? Which is, go back, this is assigning it a persona, assigning it a role. Then give it all the context that you have, which basically means provide it with all the information. Once it's done, then break down the problem into smaller parts and ask to take that information and generate user stories, detailed, effective user stories. Once it's done with it, then take one user story at a time and generate acceptance criteria. And in the meanwhile, after each and every result, just simply ask ChatGPT if it did its best. If it did, it will let you know. If not, then it will try again. So by using this methodology, automatically you'll see a significant improvement in your results. So there you have it, guys. A simple 3-step process to get the maximum from ChatGPT, especially when you're writing user stories and acceptance criteria. Honestly speaking, you can actually use this process for any other domain. So for example, if you're building a social media campaign or writing an article, you can simply tell ChatGPT to pretend to be an expert writer, then provide the context and see the magic. Let's quickly recap. Number 1, we have to make sure that ChatGPT takes on a persona. Once that is done, the second step is to provide as much information to ChatGPT as possible. And then the third step is to break down complicated problems into smaller parts and tackle them one by one instead of giving ChatGPT the entire thing and looking for an answer. If you're able to do this, automatically the level of results that you're getting today, they can be 10x'd if you follow this process. Again, if you enjoyed this video, found it valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.